Hi, I'm Suki. Welcome to Getting Psychic, where you can listen to me use myself to test the theory that anyone can get psychic. Hello and welcome to Getting Psychic. I'm your host, Suki, and I have some pretty crazy updates for you. My big news is that since I interviewed Nikki Vasconez, the Animal Communicator, a mere 14 days ago, I have basically become a full-blown animal communicator. And I really want to take this opportunity to tell you some stories and do something that I feel like in the past couple years since I've been recording these episodes, that I've always wanted someone to do, which is to break down the experience of receiving telepathic messages in a very detailed way. So, how does this go? In that interview, if you haven't heard it, listen to it, because what I do is, for some reason, get inspired to say, I basically get this nudge where I'm like, oh God, am I really going to say this to this woman? Like, follow through and say, yes, you want to communicate with her dog while you're being recorded. What a nut job. But I just kept getting the nudge and I was like, okay. And I said, Nikki, I think that I actually should try to talk to your dog. And I've never done anything like this before, with the exception of course, just in my head telling my dog I love him all the time. But it's very different from what has unfolded since then. But what happened was I got validation. And Nikki was just patient and pushed me to tell her every single little thing that I saw in my field of perception while I was trying to connect with her dog. And some of it I wasn't even going to mention, but she went back and she was like, no, now, is there anything else that you got, but you didn't even mention because you thought it wasn't important? And I was like, yes. And that ended up being critical to the whole story, which, you can hear if you listen to it. But that was enough for me. I think I waited a couple days and I was like, well, I clearly connected with this dog that lives in Florida, and now I'm going to do it some more. So I have been basically talking to the animal of any human being that will say yes. And, this will come as no surprise, but every human that I know does want me to talk to their pets. So I've been fortunate, and I'm going to tell you some stories. I think that the first one that really woke me up to the fact that I was really connecting with them was, well, I guess this is the first one I tried. I think at first I tried to connect with a squirrel and my brain was just interfering too much because I was like, it's just going to show me squirrel stuff. This looks like squirrel stuff. Am I just thinking this? So I asked my friend who lives in Asheville to give me permission to connect with her dog, Apple, whom I've never met, and just see what I get. Okay. So I don't do any amount of like grounding or protection or ritual or anything. I just close my eyes and basically, with intention, essentially, I don't even say it, but I'm just like, I'm in my head, I'm like, I'm connected to Apple. And I don't know if I was doing this right away, but I have since started connecting the animal to my heart chakra. I connect our heart chakras because I learned that an important part of telepathic communication is love, and animals are so much about love that I figured it couldn't hurt. So I connect my heart to their heart energetically, and I put a bubble around us. And lately I've been letting the animals pick their color bubble, and that's like a new level of crazy. So I connect to Apple, and right away he shows me a rug, and he's on a rug, and he's just pulling up the corner of the rug. And I'm like, huh, okay. And I'm new to this. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm supposed to deduce from this imagery, and also in the background thinking, are you making this up? And then so I pass this message on, and my friend says, oh, weird. What color is the rug? He's been on this one rug a lot today in particular. And I say, it is like a burgundy or rust color, because that's what I was seeing in my perception. Which was weird because before she asked, I didn't even realize I was aware of the color. But then underneath the rug that he was pulling up was like an inch thick white pad. And so she sends me a picture of the rug with him on it. And I'm like, holy shit, that's the color of the rug. So all of these little validations have like really pushed and helped me to just keep going in and doing this every single day. So I deduce from this, I'm like, okay, wow. Um he either wants to point out the rug mat or he wants one. And she was like, I don't have one. And I'm like, okay, I think he genuinely wants padding on the rug. And that's one of the things. And I think I was so excited with that one, I kind of just stopped there and I was like, can I talk to your sister's dog now? Oh, and another thing that's crazy is like in a lot of the sessions where I'm just, telepathically communicating with animals now, a word comes in right away where it's like, I think Apple gave me the word grateful. And I was like, okay, I don't know why he's grateful, but I passed that on and it resonated with his owner. So I do the sister of my friend, I do her dog. And he shows me this very sweet, goofy personality to the point where, in my perception, he's trying to put his face in my face. And I'm like, wow, this dog loves people. And I almost felt like treating him like a dog in front of me. I was like, you're a good boy. Okay, let's talk. And so the way I do it isn't, I don't really talk out loud, although I could and maybe I have intermittently, but it doesn't seem to make a difference. I ask them questions quietly in my mind. And to be clear, it's not a conversation. Well, it is a conversation, but they're answering in images, very subtle images, the kind that you could dismiss as your imagination. And I would say like a lot of the images even look like my imagination. Like if you close your eyes and start thinking about, or a memory, how about that? If you close your eyes and start thinking about going back to this pond that you loved when you were a kid, you kind of see it, but you kind of don't. It's like that. And they also give me really strong emotional feelings. Like they give me their emotions. So it's images, emotions, little movies kind of, but that look like memories, and words so far. But I think you can also get like smells, and also I think there's a little bit of kind of like knowing. There are certain things where I'm getting way faster at making interpretations and piecing things together. And I think that that is a connection to a bigger energy, kind of just like receiving the information in a way that doesn't sound like words, but it can be presented in that way. So I'm talking to basically Apple's cousin, And he shows me this whole story of how much he loves people. And he takes me down to a creek that's shallow with clear water. And he's showing a person holding a rock in their hand. And then he shows me himself running through a field nearby. And I'm like, okay. So I tell his owner, and she's like, oh my gosh, we just moved from basically a place where he went on walks exactly like you're describing. And I was like, oh wow. So what I do right away is based on what Nikki taught me is that I say, show me things so that I understand your personality. And at that point, I'll get a word. His word was actually doting. And I was like, that word is never in the foreground of my mind. So weird. So that word comes in. And then what I do next after they give me a sense of their personality is that I say, show me things so that your mom or owner, whatever, I use the person's name, but show me things so that the person knows that I'm connected to you. And then they'll just show me this random stuff that I'm like, okay, do you have a yoga mat? And I'll see things from the perspective of the dog or animal and from the perspective of the animal in his setting. So I'll be like outside of the animal and then through the animal's eyes sometimes. But it's just like kind of interchangeable. So one of the cute things that happened early on, 10 days ago, was that one of the sisters said, well, ask Griswold what he thinks of Apple. And so he painted this beautiful story that I was able to clearly decipher. So, what he showed me first was him standing in front of a human and just dutifully sort of focusing on the human. And then this other dog comes up and he glances at it and looks back at the human. And so I'm like, uh, probably doesn't think that much of the dog based on what he just showed me. But what I learned was never just receive the first thing that you get and let that be the answer. So I'm like, okay, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more until more images start coming through. And then all of a sudden, I'm seeing this big floppy dog running in a field. And then a super fast little dog comes up and runs between its legs and it tumbles like a floppy goofy thing. And so I kind of laugh and I'm like, okay, wait, now they're playing. So maybe he does like him. And then I'm like, okay, tell me more. What do you think of Apple? Tell me more. And I see a wolf. He just shows me a wolf head. And I instantly know what he's saying. He's saying, we're really different. This dog is a dog, like a real athletic, real dog. And I'm like a person. I love people. I'm meant to be loving people. And he was showing me that in emotions and imagery. He wasn't saying he didn't like the other dog. He was differentiating between the two of them and telling me what he thought of them. And I have to say that freaking broke my brain because I feel like that was the first story that sort of unfolded from just a few questions asked. And I was just like, this is mind blowing and so beautiful. I'll probably say this 1,000 times, but I've always known, and every, psychic medium or crazy person that I've had on this podcast over the past 2 years has also been emphatic about the fact that we are all psychic. It is just a matter of unlocking it. And now I have the beautiful opportunity to let you watch something unfold in real time and try to show you as graphically as I know how what it's actually like. I've known this from the beginning. Obviously, it was the whole point of the podcast. But now that I'm just every single night, I need to make a shirt that says I'd rather be animal communicating, because every single night I'm like, okay, are we done like interacting? I gotta go talk to pets. I've got like a running list of animals that I need to connect with. And it's funny because I'm telling my friends about it, and they're the ones that are aligned with this kind of stuff. Obviously, half of my friends probably think I'm out of my mind, but whatever. But the ones that are actually intuitive and psychic and already been down this road, they're super sweet and supportive and really excited for me. But it's like I'm walking around, I'm more shocked than anyone, I think. Even people who are just like, yeah, you can talk to my dog. They're like, that's so cool. I feel closer to my dog now, blah, blah, blah. I'm just walking around in a state of like, isn't this crazy? And nobody else seems to think it's that crazy. Like every night to my husband, I'm like, listen to this. This cat, I asked this cat where it slept, and it showed me first sacred geometry and then a Native American rug pattern. And then the owner showed me its bed, and it was exactly a combination of those two things. And I almost wet my pants. And he's just like, wow, that's cool. And I'm like, but do you not understand that I'm talking to animals? Like, I'm just like, everybody should be throwing a parade. But then at the same time, there's the other side of it that's like, everybody should also be doing it, because it's clearly a part of us that we are born with, and every element of our society and culture and customs and technology takes us farther and farther away from. People right now can't even be alone with their own thoughts, let alone tap into other people or animals' thoughts. So I don't know if it takes dedicating 2 years of your life to having a spiritual podcast and more years meditating, and but I don't think so. I think that it all very much is about intention, because the quantum field says that we're all connected. And now I have the most valuable proof that I could ever fathom. And it is that any time of day, if I can have quiet, I can receive messages from any animal that I've never met anywhere in the world. Also, if you want me to talk to your animal, you know where to find me. I I have an insane list. I haven't even talked to my own animal yet, because I have been only wanting to do animals where I've never seen their house and I've never met, because it helps me to just get clear and not be afraid to say everything that comes, because I know that my brain isn't insinuating or adding anything to the communication. But yeah, I don't know if I will ever not be in awe of it. And it is, I mean, I just now every animal I see, I'm like, "Oh, I love you." Beyond what I had before. The admiration and the respect is just, I don't know. I'm just like filled with love and kind of beside myself. So, but then the crazy part is, as I'm doing this, people that I'm close to are catching on and experiencing it themselves, and then friends of friends. And, I've had, even in the past 2 weeks, experiences where I realized, like, oh shit, this is not simple. This is about life, and sometimes life and death. It's really cute when I'm talking to my friends and their dog is telling me that they yes, want to get an electric food distributing machine and that they have a plaid sweater, like that happened. Um, it's like really fun to just get those validators like, oh, he's showing me a plaid sweater. And then his mom is like, yeah, he's got a plaid sweater. I'm like, this is freaking weird. But when it comes down to tapping into an animal and my heart is filled with physically fear and sadness or a combination of those things, it's like it hits me like, oh, wait, people don't talk to animal communicators for fun exactly. They talk to animal communicators for behavior issues, for life or death issues, for wellness things. And I'm like, oh gosh, a couple times already I've said, I don't feel like I'm advanced enough to be in a position to weigh in on this because I respect the pet owner and the animal so much that I'm just like, I will tell you what I get and you can interpret it, but I will not weigh in on anything important at this stage of the game. But I had a dog show me the craziest thing that I actually had to Google because they were having health issues and he wanted to show me, or she wanted to show me. She showed me what the villi of the small intestines looks like. And I didn't know that off of the top of my head. And then immediately like showed me a tube. And I'm like, I know that this is the digestive tract. And then I Googled projections in the intestines, in dog intestines. And then I saw the villi and I was like, this is exact. They showed me basically like a biological image. So they have capabilities far beyond what I would have ever assumed. And I can also, in my short time, validate that they definitely know what we're thinking. And a fun reminder or a fun sort of way that that was exhibited to me was when I was talking to my friend Gracie, who has two dogs. And they both told me about their personalities. And one of them pointed out that she had a boy name. And I couldn't tell if she had a problem with it at all. I'm not that advanced, but I just told her that the name was really important to her mom, and that seemed to be fine. And so I say all this stuff to her, and every single thing that they showed me, like, oh, I like to be on the left side of the couch or the right side of the couch, and da 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 da, like all these identifiers, she validated and was like cracking up. So, okay, well, then I'm going to tell you that since you validated all of that, I'm going to tell you the weird stuff that I didn't understand. I was like, they both separately showed me a machine and the machines were freaking weird. The first one looked like a watermill that a dog paw was pushing in a circle. She was pushing on all the platforms of a watermill to spin it. And I was like, okay, I don't know what this is next. And then the next dog showed me sort of like cogs and the guts of a machine. And so I told her that, and she starts cracking up. And she says, she's like a very busy lawyer. And she's like, I have been really busy lately. And I have been thinking about getting them a feeding machine because I'm not forgetting to feed them, but I keep feeding them off of schedule. And I sat with that for a minute and realized what that really meant. And to me, what that meant is that they're hearing her thoughts that she's considering getting an electronic feeder And they showed me their interpretation of what that is. So then my head exploded and I died. I mean, are you kidding me? It's so beautiful. I'm going to talk to a bunch of dogs that aren't in bodies anymore tonight. And I'm sure that'll be interesting. Okay, so am I portraying everything that I want to share with you? Let me know if you have any questions, but I really wanted to give you like the inside perspective of a very rapidly blossoming quote unquote spiritual gift. Even though I it does feel very miraculous and beautiful and special, I now understand all the psychics just being like, yeah, everybody can do this because it's true. And part of why I'm here is to encourage everyone to become as psychic as they can be. Because when we rely on our intuition and when we are in touch with our intuition and when we are in touch with non-physical reality, it's almost like we can be it's like a form of protection. And we have a relationship with our inner voice. And I think that having a relationship with yourself and your inner voice and your inner knowing is so important to holistic well-being and a sense of peace and even just actual physical health. I genuinely think I'm becoming healthier since I started this podcast. And I know that a lot of it has to do with realizing that chakras are real and realizing that these energy centers are responsible for so much in our lives. And looking at them can expose you to even just the ability to just love yourself so much. And I don't know, I feel like I'm laughing with myself all the time. And I love myself. And it expands my ability to love other people and forgive people. Whew. It's crazy. Okay. So I want to tell you something crazy. I was putting this off because Claire, who you know, who started this podcast with me, and I'm going to give you a Claire update in a minute. But so I told her that I can talk to animals now, just totally chill. And she's like, "Oh, okay, cool. Do snake baby." And you can do the math on that. She's got a pet snake. And I'm like, "Okay." I'm thinking, I feel like maybe I can only talk to dogs. Like, can I actually talk to a snake? What the hell is it going to have to say to me? Show me its terrarium? But then I came to this realization yesterday that something that I can ask any animal is, do you have any spiritual knowledge or spiritual insights to share with us? And so I was like, oh, yes, that would be perfect for a snake because what else is it going to give me? It's not going to be like a dog and showing me itself running in a field. Check this out. I tap into the snake and I know I'm connected with it. Oh, and I've been doing this thing, which I mentioned before. I let them pick their own bubble color. And this is the cutest freaking thing. And I'm starting to realize that their colors that they're choosing are probably aligned with their auras. But as this unfolds for me, but I'll know more, but I'm definitely just trusting my instinct on that one. So they've picked like yellow and purple. A few dogs have picked purple. But this snake picked green. He wanted a green bubble. The snake's not even green. So I'm tapped into the snake. I'm connecting to our heart chakras, and I'm connecting our heart chakras, and we've got a green bubble around us. And then I see scales, and I see his head, and I'm like, yes, okay, I'm talking to a snake. Now what? So then all of a sudden, my heart is just filled with love, like big, beautiful love. And I'm thinking, wow, okay, there's more to this snake than I expected. So I say, whoa, I feel this. Tell me more. And then all of a sudden I see like sort of like I'm looking up at the sky and it's opening up, like almost like the heavens opening up. I'm like, okay. And then I see sacred geometry, and then I see a pentagram. And I'm like, wow, that was crazy. What else? And then I don't hear these words, but I experience these words. Love is all and all is love. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? This is Claire's snake? Like, what is happening? So then I'm thinking, okay. And I'm just basking in this love feeling. But I'm really just laying in my bed with a sleeping mask on, talking to a snake. Totally normal. And I say, show me more. And then I'm looking out of its aquarium from its perspective. And he shows me Claire. But Claire isn't a human body. She's colored energy. And she is purple and green and white. And then her husband is pale blue and white. And he says, thank you, when he's showing me her husband, Eric, in the kitchen. And I have since learned that Eric is the one that feeds the snake and he preps the, gross snake baby frozen mice or whatever he eats in the kitchen. So, like, I mean, I'm just blown away by all of this, and I can't wait to ask. Did I squeeze it in there that I did ask the snake if he had any spiritual messages? If not, that's what I did to get all of that crazy stuff. But I mean, it made me realize that that snake signed up to be an energetic presence in Claire's life in this crazy incarnation where she's got MS and she almost died last year because her heart exploded. And also she's got a snake tattoo over her heart, which had to be cut open. The synchronicities here are very strange and really larger than life. Point being, I guess, is never assume when you all start talking to animals telepathically, never assume that you know what you're going to get, because this little snake was a spiritual experience. And I know exactly why he shares a house with her right now. I mean, I could go on for days with stories that I have. I'm just in awe with everything that's been going on. Maybe I'll write a book about it, but I just really wanted to share this with you and hope that it inspires you to trust your inner voice and the messages that you receive. And I think that's why animal communication has been so critical for me, because all of my psychic abilities have always been there. I just dismissed them as my imagination. And that's easy to do if there's no one on the other side of your meditation saying, "Oh, yeah, totally. There is a hermit that acts as your guide that carried you around while you were a baby." Like, you just think like, "Wow, I went to some crazy places in that meditation." But with animal communication, you have a direct connection to their owner, and they can validate everything that you say. And so it is so subtle. The information at first is so subtle, and we have to claw our way back to our intuition, and we have to claw our way back to our telepathy. But it is in all of us. So I hope this inspires you in some way, and I hope this sort of fills in some gaps if you're not a super psychic already. And if you have any questions, I am an open book, obviously. But regarding Claire, after we talked about Snake Baby, I was debriefing her on that today, and I was like, "Oh, I think I'm going to record a episode where I just talk and give updates about what's been going on with me. What should I say about you?" So, basically, after she nearly died last year, she had a long recovery road, and she worked her way back up physically to doing energy work again. And then she's just traveling a ton with her husband, doing shows all around the country with their Aura camera. So I'm sure if you want to meet Claire, you could look up Aura Iris. Wait, let me see what the website is called real quick. aurairis.com. And then you can get their schedule and see where they're popping up all over the place. But they drive around. And so obviously it makes it difficult to podcast. And I'm just a million miles a minute. So I just freaking took over and started interviewing all these people. And Claire's going to come on intermittently, and we'll do catch ups because we love talking to each other about this stuff. So you have not seen the last of her, but in terms of moving forward with the podcast, I am definitely the lead, and she's going to basically be co-founder and guest, hopefully. So also that leads me to the most important part of this episode, which is that I made Getting Psychic hats, and they're really freaking cute. So I'm going to launch them, I think this week, but I decided to just for ease of function, because I've got too much going on, like put them on my hair care website. So it's sparrowforeveryone.com, all spelled out. And I am going to put the Getting Psychic hats, which are actually very fancy and cute and embroidered. And I have two colorways, black and blue, like the logo, and then burgundy and blue, which I am wearing currently. And they're very lovely. So I'm going to put them on that website. And then I'm also launching 2 more hair care products for sensitive people, like before I go to the Conscious Life Expo, which will be next week. So a lot happening. Like I don't know about you, but I feel like for the first part of this year, I've been sort of like asleep, or just kind of like dragging through life. And now all of a sudden I'm like on high speed. I feel like there's so much changing, and there's so many. I mean, despite the fact that we elected a beep, I am choosing to focus on love and all of the beauty and magic that exists despite our governments, obviously. So, yes, Getting Psychic Hat, Claire Update, Conscious Life Expo. Come meet me. You can come meet a lot of the people who have also been on this podcast too. I'm sure there's going to be lots of weird people at this thing, but I'm counting on some like-minded individuals that hate synthetic fragrance. Also, I'm doing a talk on Sunday at 2:00 at the expo with the inimitable Debbie Solaris, the amazing Vera Takakura, and the spectacular Tamara Andrews-Pasick. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be really weird, and it's free. It's sponsored by Sparrow for Everyone, hair care for sensitive people. I hope you can make it. Okay, I hope maybe you learned something from my weird-ass unfolding of complete telepathy in the past 14 days. And if you want more, if I missed anything, don't hesitate to reach out. Okay, love ya. Bye. Thanks so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's conversation as much as we did. Be sure to subscribe and follow us wherever you get your podcasts so that you never miss a new episode. If you liked today's episode, please consider leaving a review to help the other psychics find their way here.